congratulations on getting the first season out and being such a success on the History Channel. This is not only a rating success, it's a critical success. And you know, you never know when you go into one of these shows what the response is going to be. You can tell from the crowd here, and there's a big crowd watching on whatever the world out there of streaming is, and however they're watching it on their keychains or whatever. Hello, people. Anyway, it must feel good to have your vision on the screen and come out this way, right?
It's a remarkable feeling. It's a mixture of things. It's extremely humbling, and it's very exciting.
We write the characters, you know, and we do a lot of bad stuff. And I spend most of my time just trying to make this somewhat likable for the audience that follows me. Like the love that I have for my family and friends and all that stuff. You know?
The role's very physical. You're called upon to do a lot of physical things here. So, you know, in prepping and the way the fights are done and everything else, how difficult is that for you, or, you know, in terms of the action part of this character?
Well, Franklin Henson was an amazing stunt coordinator. He made it very easy. You know, the choreography was fantastic. And I don't know, I had a great stunt guy.
You have a great stunt. Most actors don't.
Horrible hair.
Yep. But is it fun for you to do? This kind of role? It's like a real man's role.
For sure. Anything without lines, I'm happy.
Yeah.
No, it was really enjoyable. You know, it was really.
Right.
Michael actually wrote some brilliant fight scenes. He's very talented, this man.
Okay.
I hope he never gets through his blood.
He's throwing you props here for the writing of those particular scenes. So how do you do that? How do you approach that as a writer? And you are in this show. You know, it's also a very physical role too. You get a lot of those.
No, it's true. When I first read the script, one of the first things that attracted to me was, one, the fact that Michael Hurst wrote it. I've been a huge fan of his from Tudors and Elizabeth. But as I was doing my research on it, it's so amazing and refreshing to see how strong and powerful women were in the Viking era, and that they were allowed to not only be loving wives and young mothers, and also be warriors and fight in the shield wall, and own land and divorce their husbands and eventually rule, and that was just...
Hang on a minute. I suppose you'll take half the carrot.
I'm just saying, doing the research, and that women were empowered and encouraged and had a strong voice in the society. And what's great about it is, and how Michael Hurst writes it, is these characters are not only, or what Lagarth, I can speak for myself, that she's not only strong, but she also is vulnerable and able to show the feminine side as well. And for me, having the physical side of it, being an actual shield maiden, these characters are based, or Lagarth and Ragnar are based on real Vikings. And Lagarth, there was a shield maiden, which is a female warrior, that fought in the shield wall, that they actually got a chance to be a human and had that in the spirit of combat was really interesting for me. I have a martial art background. I started training Taekwondo at age 7 and third-degree black belt, and so I've been looking for a role that can have the spirit of combat and that strength, but also be well-written and human and vulnerable at the same time. So
when you're casting this role, and she comes in and tells you she's got Taekwondo and a black belt in martial arts and has been doing this since she was 7, does that turn you on as a producer to say, I think I just found the right person here? Really interesting character. He's gotten more interesting as just those first 9 episodes have gone along, right to the finale. You know, it's really going to be interesting to see where he goes. What, from your point of view as an actor approaching this, what were you looking for in bringing him across?
Rollo could have easily been written as this big Neanderthal bull of a man, that's, you know, like the Asterix and Obelix and that cartoon when you got the oath of a brother. And what Michael did is there's so many layers to him. That's what I always look for in a character, is just the flip side of the coin. If anyone happens to be heroic on the surface, what are their insecurities, their fears, you know, what do they lie awake at night and worry about? And there's all those, it's so multifaceted, and it's about choices. And Rollo, throughout the first season, has many choices to make, and there's lots of avenues you can go. And once you've made the choice, is there any going back, or do you regret it instantly? The ugliness that's behind it. And it's very, once you've got a character that's in the grey, it's very easy really to kind of just run with it.
Yeah, and it's such a great dynamic between the two of you playing brothers, you know, and you're sort of living in his shadow here, and you get to develop that. So Travis, in working out those scenes there and making sure that he doesn't completely take over, what's that like in the dynamic that you two have?
I think it's very interesting that you've got so much conflict, man. It's got the hearts for this beautiful woman. Yeah. No, it's really interesting, you know, it's a real struggle, a real brotherly struggle. I've got brothers, you know, and I'm lucky we didn't have accents back then.
That's true. What, Clyde, shocked you when you did your research about Vikings? What didn't you know that you just go like, wow?
Well, I grew up in Britain kind of doing all that kind of stuff, running around at monasteries and ruins and castles and things, and I've always loved that kind of mythology and history, but I, like lots of people, grew up thinking that the Vikings were the big horned helmet, crazy nutcases, and especially in films, they're always the kind of hired help that turn up, and the sheriff of Nottingham or something hires some Celts or some Vikings to turn up completely out of period. And once you kind of start looking into the sagas and you start doing your research, there's just masses and masses of stuff, and it's the belief system and the culture that has just been long forgotten, has never been shown on screen before. So to kind of get your teeth into that, and I think really we're probably the first to kind of really go into depth and be able to explore it in a TV show rather than a film. There's hundreds and hundreds of facts that just come out to me all the time, and every time I read something new, it just kind of changes my whole opinion on the culture. So yeah, I mean, I actually was just, I found out today, which is quite convenient. I went on a French exchange trip when I was 11 to Rouen and Dieppe, and apparently when I was 11 years old, and you have to kind of write your little scrapbooks about what you got up to. I've got a scrapbook at home about talking about a statue of Rollo and the statue of the Viking that I saw in Rouen. So I just found that out this morning. So at the time, he was just a big Neanderthal Viking. I knew nothing about it.
Everything connects.
Yeah.
Everything connects.
Everything connects.
Yeah. I'm like, so I've got kids now, so I've got this big chest of all the kind of, you know,
Gustav, what about you? Yours is sort of thinks he's a god. Loki is like Loki, the god Loki.
He doesn't say that about himself, though.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, he's kind of based, isn't he based like on a Norse god?
There is a god Loki who, very fundamental to the sagas, a mischief maker. There are elements of that in Floki's character, but Floki started life, in my mind, as a shipbuilder.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, shipbuilder, this fundamental aspect of Viking life were probably slightly eccentric people, always thinking outside the box. And then Gustav and I, in a way, developed his characters and found ways of taking it and making it different and things. But that mischievous element, which was true throughout cultures, really. The holy fool and there's always a character sort of like that, and they're very dangerous characters. They're very attractive, but very dangerous, and so it's great to have one of those in the show. The perfect one.
And you're the only Scandinavian in the cast, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Viking veto.
So this gives you a running start right away.
Yeah, totally. But having said that, though, like I think we in Scandinavia has as many misconceptions about the Vikings as the rest of you. Because there was doing the research for this, there was a whole lot that I didn't know. We knew that they didn't have horns on their helmet, but that's about it. You know? and of course we are culturally, more rooted in the sagas and we know the gods and all. We read about it in the schools. But no, it's been fascinating to really dive down into what is my history. And the character, to get back to that, is to me, rather than like, I don't know if he like sees himself as a divine figure, but I think he's bipolar, you know. You know, they must have been around already back then. I think he goes quite rapidly between like, you know, full hubris and full self-loathing and like that, you know, and that can be troublesome. But it's funny to play, very, very much.
And shipbuilding, I mean, really, I saw you in a great movie called Kon-Tiki.
Yeah, I do marine acting, like that's what I do.
This is like, it's like a trend in your career.
Yeah. Once you go sea, you never go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Jesselyn, would you say Siggy's kind of like a bad girl? Is that how you might describe her? She has that side to her.
I think she's ambitious. You know, I think that she's, no, I don't think she's bad. I think she has pride.
What did you learn about playing monks here? You know, I don't know. I mean, you walk into this, I'm sure you've never, you know, worked in this period before.
No.
Yeah.
I have not, no.
What I find interesting about this show is it's got so much that's relevant, you know, like you're talking about too, that's relevant to us today in our times as well, which we never would have guessed that it would be. Did you find that?
Yeah, and that's what Michael has done brilliantly, and what he's always said is that, you know, when you're working with historical fiction is to try and make it as relevant as possible, and I think, you know, yeah, it's fascinating how much we have in common with the Vikings nowadays, you know. It's yeah, and the research I did about monks actually, because I didn't purposefully do a lot about the Vikings because I wanted to learn a lot from these guys. So I actually asked if I could go to Lindisfarne Island in Northumberland, off the coast of Northumberland, and look at the actual monastery there, the ruins of the abbey. And it was quite fascinating learning about this weird group of men with funny haircuts and very, very, very devout religious practices. And yeah, it was really great to get into that kind of that zone. It's just fun doing historical fiction because
Not fiction.
sorry. Yeah, dramatize it back.
It's historical non-fiction.
Yes.
Kind of like, yeah. How did you cast him in this role? What were you looking for specifically, since he's sort of apart from the others?
George was the first person we cast.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because we were looking for someone who looked like a monk.
You found him right away, huh?
We also wanted someone with whom I think the audience would have huge